The savannah can be a dangerous place to take your first steps. It's home to more large predators than anywhere else on Earth. Many Thompson's gazelle fawns won't survive their first hour. There is safety in numbers, but only if you can blend in. Each fawn's only hope is to hide. Instinctually, the mothers clean their newborns to remove any scent. But for this fawn, there isn't time. If mom stands guard, she'll blow its cover. She has no option but to walk away. The cheetah's hunting instinct is triggered by movement. A motionless fawn looks remarkably like a mound of earth. All it can do is stay down, stay still, and hope someone else is spotted first. Cheetahs are patient. But the fawn will need to suckle soon. Worse still, the birth fluid is attracting flies. A distraction. And a narrow escape. A waterbuck calf. One fawn's fate is another's fortune. Unforgiving and brutal. Mother Nature plays no favorites and shows no mercy. The species that thrive on this hostile planet have evolved into masters of earthly extremes. But the battle for survival is heating up. And for many species, life will depend on how quickly they can adapt to the changes brought on by our warming planet. Those that come out on top will be the ultimate survivors. For many, the fight for life starts the moment they are born. Without experience, they must depend on instinct alone. 3 days of digging, and this Olive Ridley turtle is free. But not safe until she gets to the sea, where early life evolved and where nearly 80% of animals still live. Of all the hatchlings born this year on the Costa Rican coast, only 10% will make it. Despite these staggering losses, the sheer number of hatchlings ensures survival of the species. Now, she's in her element. But her journey has just begun. In 10 years' time, she will return to these shores to lay eggs of her own. If she survives. The ocean is a fluid and unpredictable world, and all those that live here are at its mercy. On this planet, mercy is hard to come by. The harsh realities of the mountains north of the Arctic Circle make them some of the most treacherous places to take one's first steps. Spring has arrived here early. And that's bad news for the barnacle geese that breed here. Many nests have failed, but not this one. Three chicks. They're lucky to have made it. Forced by the early spring, the parents rush to their migration. They arrived exhausted. The female sat on the eggs for 25 days. She's lost 30% of her body weight. But for this family, the greatest challenge is still to come. The parents chose to nest on this 400-foot pinnacle. It's the only way to evade predators. Just one problem. The grass they eat is a mile away, by the river. And barnacle geese can't feed their young in the nest. If the chicks don't feed within 36 hours, they'll starve. And these chicks won't be able to fly for another month. The parents are living proof there is a solution. Just not an easy one. Dad leads the way. But the chicks are instinctively bonded to Mom. Where she goes, they follow. Incredibly, it survived. But it's stunned. And now, dangerously exposed. One chick gone. Now hope rests with the other two. The back of the spire is a shorter drop, but it's much harder to avoid the rocks. For this chick, there will be no escape. The third and last surviving chick. The snow cushions the impact, but offers no grip. Only around 50% of chicks hatched on these cliffs make it through the first month. With the seasons increasingly unpredictable, fewer chicks will survive. But this chick, at least, has defied the odds. In Pantal, a female jaguar is on the hunt. Her survival depends on finding her next meal. But here, prehistoric killers lurk, waiting to drag their victims under. Predator can become prey. With each step, a trap could snap shut. With the right bite, she'll pierce skull and immobilize it. But this caiman is much more than a mouthful. A kill this big has rarely been recorded. It will feed her for days. With great risk comes great reward. Sometimes the key to survival is outrageous ambition. Deepest winter on North America's Great Plains. .40 below, and record snowfall. Bison dig deeper for diminishing returns. Dead grass with the nutrition of cardboard. 23 pounds of the stuff every day still isn't enough. They're starving. calves are the most vulnerable. And if the cold doesn't get them, another enemy might. Winter is a wolf's ally. A time to feed off the suffering of others. Survival is dependent on it. These are the biggest wolves in the world. And at 25 strong, they're one of the largest packs. Size matters when you hunt giants. Ten times heavier and well armed, the bison are stronger as long as they stand their ground. But wolves create panic. Running for the woods is a mistake. Trees break their formation and expose the weak. Alone, a youngster is an easy target. But a mother will risk her own life to save her calf. They must make it back to the safety of the herd. But deep snow saps the bison's energy. Again, the calf is isolated. Again, it's rescued. Now there's hope. As long as it can stay hidden within the ranks, it has a chance. While the snow remains, the bison gets steadily weaker. This bison calf's death was necessary to keep these wolves alive. Taking advantage of any weakness can sometimes be the only key to survival. The death of an emergent tree is an essential part of the cycle of life. The increased humidity during the wet season sets off a chain reaction. Fungi and slime molds race to decompose dead matter on the forest floor. Rot and decay run rampant, faster than anywhere else on Earth. In some jungles, species of fungi outnumber plants 33 to 1. As they feed on the dead, they recycle critical nutrients that the forest uses to grow. Many spread by releasing spores, up to 30,000 a second. If just one of these spores lands in the right place and takes root, it can colonize a whole new area. But not all fungi feed on the dead. Days ago, a spore landed on this ant. Now, she's acting strange. A network of roots has infiltrated her muscles. Her body has been taken over by cordyceps, a parasitic fungus. It floods her brain with chemicals, drugging her, compelling her to head where conditions are perfect. Just the right amount of light, just the right amount of humidity for the parasite growing inside. It forces her to clamp down in a death bite, and cordyceps reveals its gruesome nature. After 3 weeks of growth, cordyceps can release its own spores, infecting more ants, releasing more spores, infecting more ants, releasing more spores, infecting more ants, more ants. Cordyceps can wipe out entire ant colonies. But more than just ants are at risk. Ultimate survivors who blossom from death. There are over 600 species of cordyceps spread across the world. Most are found in jungles, where they prey on a whole host of victims. This snow leopard will be lucky to find one victim. His relentless search for food is becoming desperate. His survival depends on his camouflage and agility. The scent of prey has drawn him to the edge of his territory. And into a steep ravine. Blue sheep. The broken rock provides good cover. But this is difficult terrain. Now, he must let them come to him. A 200-foot fall, never letting go. After surviving an incredible fall, this snow leopard can finally eat his fill. But success has come at huge cost. He's badly injured. For a hunter that relies on its agility to survive, this could be fatal. Incredibly, just 3 days later, we filmed the same snow leopard back on its feet, hunting again. It takes true grit to survive in these desolate, unforgiving landscapes. Snow leopards are living proof that somehow life persists in the most barren and unforgiving places. Scorched, desolate, hostile, but alive. One million hungry bats, forced to leave the safety of their cave before nightfall. The sun is so powerful here, there's barely anything to eat. The bats can only catch enough insects by leaving early. But in daylight, they're dangerously exposed. Hawks wait for them. In the desert, timing is everything. Get it wrong, and you pay the price. Get it right, and you live to fly another day. For many animals, blending in with the crowd is the key to survival. Over 50 years, the average temperature in this part of Antarctica has risen by around 5 degrees Fahrenheit. Gentoo penguins like it warmer than their ice-loving emperor cousins. It exposes the bare rock they need for nesting. The waters here are so rich, successfully raising 2 chicks is far more likely. Chicks are at all stages. The oldest are ready for the sea. But their first taste of the ocean may also be their last. A changing climate around Antarctica is helping Gentoo penguin populations. But even in summer, conditions can deteriorate rapidly. storms blow brash ice into shore. The route back to the colony is blocked. Fledglings must negotiate a maze of floating ice. It's all too easy to get left behind. And that's not the only danger. Pushing through brash ice is hard work. But this is not a safe place to rest. Drives them on. A leopard seal. A 12-foot-long penguin predator. Attention turns to the straggler. The more he struggles, the easier he is to find. Leopard seals like to toy with their victims. With so much prey about, there's no rush. A last act of defiance. The one that got away. It's not every day a colony-dependent underdog goes one-on-one against an apex predator and lives to tell the tale. Some species live entire lives of solitude. The vast open ocean can be a lonely place. This green turtle has spent 30 years out here on her own. Somehow she's found enough food to survive and grow. Now she's ready to return home. But it will be a dangerous journey. It's the breeding season, and hundreds of turtles are gathering to try and win a partner. Males mate about 4 times as often as females, so she attracts a lot of interest. This male is quick to latch on. But the others won't give up without a fight. Off the coast of Malaysia, it's green turtle breeding season. This female has found a mate, but other males are intent on splitting the pair. Targeting the male's soft flesh, they try to force him to let go. But the female has the most to lose. The fiercer the pursuit, the more oxygen she burns. A stressed turtle can drown in minutes. She's desperate to reach the surface and breathe. But one challenger just won't give up. The female is running on empty. Finally, the intruder backs off just long enough. She's safe. But in just a few weeks, she will face the final hurdle in her epic struggle to continue her line. In the jungle heat, little red flying foxes struggle to keep themselves alive. Survival for them means making a choice. It's 104 Fahrenheit. Just 4 degrees more, and this male will die of heat shock. He needs to escape the sun. But with hundreds of thousands of bats in the colony, the shadier spots are hard won. Exposed, he's dangerously dehydrating. The river is their only salvation. But it can also be their ruin. These waters are infested. Freshwater crocodiles. Better to stay away. Try and hold out till nightfall. But with every breath, he loses more water. More and more bats give in to their thirst. And he won't last much longer. It's safer to share the risk. To collect water, they must dip their fur in the river. But no one wants to be first. Safe. But he must brave this river every day until the rains arrive. Over the next 50 years, it could get too hot and dry for this colony to survive at all. Could this be the future for jungles around the world? Here in Africa, rising temperatures are forcing mountain life ever higher. an army of gelada monkeys is gathering. They're all after one thing. But to find it, they must climb higher and higher. Their numbers grow to 1,200 strong, one of the largest gatherings of monkeys on the planet. At 10,000 feet, this is what they're after. Grass. It's almost all they eat. But so many monkeys in such a small area means trouble. Especially for this old male. He needs a lot of energy to defend his family. 10 females and 12 youngsters. But you don't get much from grass. He has to spend 10 hours a day feeding. And today, he's gonna need all the energy he can get. Bachelor males. Outcasts. Forced to the edge of society. Any one of them would be happy to take down the old male and become the new family leader. To hold on to power, the old male must prove his strength, both to the bachelors and his females. He challenges them to chase him. But no one dares to attack. His show of force has worked. For now. The old male has little time to refuel before the herd moves on. The bachelors are back. At this high altitude, each confrontation takes more energy. A relentless cycle of moving, feeding, and fighting. Moving, feeding, fighting. By late afternoon, the old male is exhausted. The strongest bachelor, 45 pounds of muscle, with energy to burn. He's the most serious challenger yet, and the old male knows it. Two male gelada monkeys fight for supremacy. A dominant male and a younger bachelor. One against one, the bachelor is stronger. The old male won't last much longer. At least not alone. His females are loyal. They won't give up on their protector yet. This united force is overwhelming. The old male is victorious. But it's tough at the top. As the climate warms and the grass they depend on retreats higher, their battle for survival will only intensify. A warming climate adds to the uncertainties of drought and famine. Timing is key. Just a few months old. Born at the wrong time. Mom couldn't produce enough milk. She has to say her final goodbye. Six months older and born just before the wet season, this calf had a stronger start. The matriarch has seen hard times before. She knows how to lead her family through. Enough water to go around until the rains return. Surviving here has never been harder. Yet, young and old, this herd is still standing strong, and hopefully will be for generations to come. Experience, memory, and social bonds were the difference between life and death for this family. On land or off, brain power and group cooperation can be key to survival. During winter, these freezing fjords are the stage for one of the biggest wildlife spectacles on the planet. This orca pod comes here every year. They're led by a matriarch. She could be 70 years old. For a pod that specializes in hunting fish, this is an unmissable event. Herring. Billions of them. More fish here than people on the planet. But the bigger the shoal, the harder it is to single out a target. The orca need to come at the problem from another angle. Coordinating their attack, they divide and conquer. Herders work to split the shoal. Then in come the big hitters, slamming their tails, creating a shockwave, stunning up to 30 fish with each blow. They must work quickly. They're not the only hunters here. Humpbacks. 6 times the weight of an orca. They can devour more than 200 pounds of herring in one gulp. The orca know when to cut their losses and continue the hunt elsewhere. Brains plus brawn is a formidable combination in the game of staying alive. In Canada, summer intensifies. Ice continues to retreat. Brains and brawn are no match for disappearing hunting grounds. Polar bears are stranded. Their toughest time. Surviving on fat built up last winter, reserves are running low. There's almost nothing to eat. Almost. At this time of year, beluga whales arrive in Canada's shallows. A sanctuary for newborns. These waters can be 18 degrees warmer than the open sea. This could be his lifeline. They're tantalizingly close. One of the few whales with flexible necks, the belugas easily see him coming. With each dive, he wastes precious energy, and his chances of surviving summer get slimmer. On the shores of Hudson Bay, a hungry polar bear is desperately trying to hunt beluga whales. catching them in open water has proved almost impossible. But he can't let this opportunity slip away. A change in tactic. From the rock, prey is easier to spot. If only they would come in range. Built for the cold, suffering in the sun. Finally. A calf. Not fat like an adult, but perhaps just enough to keep starvation at bay. Flexibility and opportunism were the keys to his success. Hunting beluga whales might make the difference between life and death for these bears. But if the ice-free season gets longer, even this may not be enough. An extra degree or two a century may not sound like much. But where creatures are already pushed to the limit, it could be fatal. Resourcefulness and cunning are more important than ever. At midday, the sand is hot enough to melt your shoes. The shovel-snouted lizard avoids burning its feet by dancing. The buck spore spider can survive higher temperatures than any other spider. Up to 120 degrees Fahrenheit. But it's gonna get hotter than that. She must work fast, weaving a blanket of sand to cover the entrance to her burrow, where she escapes the heat. Now, the sand hits 160 degrees. Yet, for hot rod ants, it's the start of the working day. Alone on the dunes, they scavenge the sun's victims. Long legs are a lifesaver. Just 1/5 of an inch up is 12 degrees cooler. And the hot rods live up to their name, running so fast they create a cooling breeze. When it gets too much, they climb off the sand entirely. By pushing the limits of thermal survival, the ants can be active when their predators are in hiding. But even they must get back to the nest soon. Before they boil to death. The ants' struggles won't go unnoticed. Vibrations travel down silk threads to an underground layer. Sometimes, the spore spider lets the sun do its killing. It will emerge later to eat its pre-cooked meal. In the desert, survival means working smarter, not harder. Oftentimes, challenges to survival come from unexpected places. Along the coast, ocean storms create some of nature's most awe-inspiring wonders. Nazaré in Portugal sees some of the biggest waves in the world. Towering as high as 10 stories. But the stormier our seas become, the more those living on the coast suffer. An island on the edge of existence. Home to rockhopper penguins. A dense layer of fat gives them some protection. Still, they take a battering. This mother can't back out now. Her chick needs food. And it's Dad's turn to hold down the fort. Life in the colony is tough. Declining fish stocks and rougher seas have made food harder to come by. Mom has to hunt. And what was already a rough sea is about to get a whole lot rougher. The most powerful storm in almost 30 years is closing in. Worse than anything these penguins have faced before. On the far south of the globe, a brutal storm is finally subsiding. But for these rockhopper penguins, the waves are still deadly. The latest shift of hunters returns. But this chick's mom is nowhere to be seen. Then she appears amongst the last stragglers. Home and dry. In just 12 hours, she'll return to battle the waves and risk her life for her chick once more. Parental instinct might be the greatest survival tactic of the species. In Norway, spring races across the Arctic. The change brings new challenges. A young female she depends on seals for food, the only prey with enough calories to sustain her. As the ice melts, escape routes are now everywhere. Her chances plummet. Bears have an acute sense of smell. They can detect seals from nearly 2 miles away. This one's closer. News of her kill carries on the wind. A huge male. He needs food too, and he doesn't care how he gets it. Just bones. She's taken her fill. Now she must leave. A hungry male polar bear can turn cannibal. Her heightened senses, agility, and awareness of her limitations were the keys to her survival. Summer in the poles has always been a time of transformation. But now, the Arctic is changing faster than at any rate in recorded history. The climate is warming. Polar bears face immediate survival choices. Head deeper into the ice or swim for land. Stretching themselves to their limits could either be their downfall or their salvation. Against near impossible odds, this mom-to-be has tested her limits and found her way back to the beach where she was born. It's the first time she's been on land since hatching over a decade ago. And she's not alone. Hundreds of thousands of female olive ridley turtles are returning to the Costa Rican coastline to lay their eggs. A cycle of life sustained by the sea for 30 million years. Never has their journey been harder. Yet so far, these turtles, like all our ultimate survivors, are still holding on in these fast-changing times.